Hello, people. Welcome to Local Whites. I am Sean. Now, I just wanted to look at a few managers. Well, a manager that's been linked with Leeds United's job. Obviously, Daniel Farke looks like his sacking is going to be soon. He's obviously got a stay of execution. Blah 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 blah. But I wanted to look at Bo Svensson because what I've seen sort of already. I like the look of the guy. So I found a video. I am going to show it with you and share it with you, and we're going to go through it to look at what we could expect from a Bo Svensson and how probably his tactics will fit with this Leeds United squad we've got. So I'm going to share my screen. Right, so let's get into this. I'm intrigued. Now, this was when Mainz beat Bayern Munich a couple of seasons ago. I think it was 2023. And I think he's just going through how he set his team up to play against, obviously, a fantastic team like Bayern Munich. So let's hit the start.
Bayern, of course, a world-class team. They could, with a victory in this game, become champions again. They had won the Champions League the year before, so of course it's a world-class team with world-class players all over. For us, the situation was a little bit different. We'd been playing against the relegation the whole year. We'd only had a midway.
And look at how he's set up. There is his team on the left there in orange. 3 at the back. It's what I want. It's what I want.
Through the season, we only had 7 points, and no team had made it with only 7 points after half of the season. So we had to start a big rescue mission, but we were actually
so he took them over 7 points. And obviously, they'd only had 7 points out of 17 games. He took them over. Massive rescue mission.
We in a good on track, if you can say it like that, but still was a very important game for us.
Very interesting.
For this game, we were playing 5-4-1 with Robin Sentner in a goal, or first goalkeeper Alexander Hack in the central, Musa Niakate on the left side, center back, Philippe Mwene as a left back, Jeremiah St. Just as a right center back, and Danny Da Costa on the right side, full back.
That's wing backs. Great shape. Straight away, I'm looking at that formation. We've got players that can fit that formation. We've got the centre defenders. We've got the wing backs, and we've got the holding midfielders, or the centre midfielders there. Which you could play a creative player in there as well, in a Tanaka.
We're playing with 2 central sixes with Leandro Barreiro and Denny Latza.
So it's playing with 2 6s because it's of the opposition. That's what I'm thinking. He's playing with 2 6s because of the opposition, and obviously Bayern Munich.
We're playing with 2 like 10s, especially with the ball. Against the ball, they were slightly deeper, but here on the left side, Robin Quaison, and on the right side, Johnny Burkhardt, in the front with Karim Onisivo. So they played, and we expected them to come in this formation. They played with Hansi Flick. They only played the 4-2-3-1 with Manuel Neuer in goal, with David Alaba on the left center back, Jerome Boateng on the right center back, Alphonso Davies as a left fullback. Benjamin Pavard as a right fullback, 2 6s with Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka, and then Thomas Müller as a 10 behind Robert Lewandowski on the right side. They had
That's a good team, isn't it? That's a good Bayern Munich team. That interesting. He said about playing with 2 10s as well. So I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
Leroy Sané on the left side. They had Kingsley Coman. So of course, world-class players all over. And we had actually, since I came in, had a lot of emphasis on staying in the same system, trying to get a lot of the principles same. Didn't matter against who we play. Trying to cover up the center of the pitch against the ball, trying to press high. When you're playing against Bayern and you see that they're playing with 2 guys on the side and world-class players, we thought before we played like this with 2 8s and one 6 and two strikers, you can see a lot of the pitch in the center is close, but sometimes if they come up here, gonna have a problems with being 2 against 1. But we thought we try something different. It may surprise Bayern as well, and we decided that we would have 2 guys on the side to cover up. So we played 2 against 2 here, being a little bit deeper. So that was the consideration against the ball.
Straight away, he's identifying where the spaces are. Ironically, on that left-hand side there, where we are getting, a lot of goals against us, he's identified that. He's identified the strengths of Bayern Munich, and he's adapted his formation to counter that. Interesting, and that's what we need.
With the ball, we also had some advantage when we played with 3 guys in the front. This was the situation that we knew that we would face a lot of the game, being in deep, trying to cover up the spaces and making it difficult for Bayern to play. We had different principles from when we were going to put down the pressure. Of course, this guy couldn't, Karim Onisivo, he could not run around to 3 guys, but he should be in the center. And then it was different when Boateng or Alaba had the ball here. Sometimes we would get Robin Quaison or Jonathan Burkhardt to go on the center back.
So straight away there, look, it's a deep block because they know they're playing against a team who's going to have a lot of the ball, who's going to have a lot of possession. We'll go back to the Arsenal game against us at Leeds, and we tried to control the ball, and it just didn't work. You've got to set up in a way against certain teams that is going to try and nullify them. I'd like us to do this against Man City, to be honest. Interesting. And he doesn't have, the pressing isn't erratic. It's not like you're just chasing down the ball. You do it at certain moments when certain, players have the ball. It's sort of, you've got triggers, and that's what he's showing there for me.
If that happened, then it was a signal for the next guys to move through. That means that he has to go here to Pavard, and the outside center back has to move out and cover the space. Sometimes when he came here, we also put out a central midfielder, and that meant he has to go in here. We have to close the middle, so they could only play on the outside. We can control this pass and not being able to play through the middle. Of course, with Robert Lewandowski here, Thomas Müller also here, it's dangerous players, and if they get too much space, it's difficult to defend. Sometimes we're able to get in the dangerous spaces, but we wanted to control it, so it was just on the outside. And
so straight away there, you've got, you've got your centre defenders having to come out and cover that left hand side when you've got 3 at the back. It's fine. You still got the 2 in the middle. You're covering spaces, and it's having players, making players aware of where other players are. You've got a centre midfielder coming out there and pressing. One of the number 10s there drops in and covers that space, closing the gaps. Love that.
And this was the way to do it. Of course, we're going to concede a lot of crosses, but often we had 3 center backs inside. If they should score a goal, they should do it with a cross and not opening spaces here where they can play inside.
Perfect. Team that's going to put a lot of crosses in against us, especially up in the air. We've got Struijk, Bijol, and Rodon in there. You'd think we'd be favourites to win that ball like that.
Of course, Bayern wants to stretch the pitch. They want to have two wide players with the wings who want to come get the ball and then go in one against ones on the outside. And the clear mindset was, then we need to only invest one guy. Of course, if he can get help, from the 6 or maybe from this guy, but not from the center back, because when he goes here and the center back comes here, it means it opens spaces. So
straight away, look at that. We're doing that, and we're playing 4 at the back. We're having a centre back coming out and trying to cover the left back position, and that's where the goals are coming from. He doesn't want that. He wants one of your midfielders doing that. That would be an Ampadu for us, or a Stack, and then obviously, a 10, whoever that is on that left hand side. Okafor or an Onto maybe dropping in to help out, and it's sort of being disciplined with the centre halves, not giving up that space in the box.
Even though he gets past him, then he can meet him perhaps here. But that was the thing. We should leave him on a 1v1, and the spaces here inside, we should always keep our 3 center backs. So a lot of the things, and also the same things that Bayern does, is try to get them turned, try to go on a 1 against 1. If the space is closer, they're gonna play here, especially Kimmich. If he's in this position, Kimmich will always, when he gets the ball here, try to look at the spaces on the other side. That means that the 2 fullbacks always have to be aware of the runs coming inside. So even though if the run comes here and Davis is still wide, then he can cross it here, but he cannot cross it to this player, because that's the dangerous space again. So it's always about to prevent them from coming in behind and trying to keep the spaces in the middle extremely tight and difficult to get through. Big topic for us before the game was not just to be in defending mode the whole time, being able, as well as I talked about with the ball, having some solutions, also be able to press high at some points in the game and seeing the right time to do it. So at the goal kick from them, that was absolutely a possibility to press high. But also when we were getting the ball into these spaces and already were high as a team, being brave and trying to go into gegenpressing, not waiting and being afraid that they will counterattack or getting in behind. Just go. I mean, we just came from winning the last couple of games. So just seeing the possibility of creating problems deep in their half. One of the things was when we pressed high, it was also always the outside Robin Quaison or Jonathan Burkhardt who should go to Boateng. That meant that was the signal, and Pavard was here. Philipp Benvenes should go completely. I mean, just sprint here to get into this space and not worrying that Leroy Sané or Coman on the other side was in.
So straight away there, for us, that would probably be your Brendan Aronsons. If in the team, Okafor would have to be, pressing a lot. I don't know if that's, a big part of his game, but he can do it. He can do it. The fact he likes his wing backs, his full backs to also press high is good, because you've still got behind you, especially playing the 3 at the back and with your 2 6ers there, plenty of cover. So it allows them wide players to press high up. So Goodmanson there on that left hand side would be the one pressing as well. Behind.
And was also one of the advantages, one of the main reasons why we played this back 5 was the speed of Moussa Niakate and Jeremiah St-Just. Because they are so fast, they don't have any issue defending fast wingers on the side. So we play 1 against 1.
Straight up. So fast centre backs. Now, maybe saying Bijol would be the central figure in that back 3. Rodon, we know, has got good recovery speed. Pascal Struijk also. So I think we'd be fine still. We'd be fine with players we've got.
1 against 1, 1 against 1 as well here. And even if the ball comes in behind, of course, if they're the same height, then it's going to be difficult. But they don't have to fear coming in behind the back line because they just have this tempo. So that was being brave, coming out and just still was in our stadium. We had nothing to lose, and creating these just also as a signal to the opponent that you don't have fear. We just want to try to influence the game in a positive way as well. So either you press very deep or you press maximum high, not being in the middle of the pitch where you're giving in space behind, but you're still allowing them to play. We wanted to take time away from them, or we wanted to take space away from them. So
loving that. Pressing high, defending deep as a team. Perfect.
Obviously, when we press high, we give some spaces in behind, but because we have fast players on these positions and trying to take time away from the player who has the ball, then you can control it as well. One of the reasons why we also played this system was because normally if you play with the 5-3-2, you have the two strikers. Then when you win the ball and have a possibility to go in a transition, they are easily controlled from the center backs, and it's difficult with only two guys to make it to a goal scoring opportunity. The distance for the two midfield players also.
So he switched it there to a 5-3-2. Again, we've got players for that.
Often very, very far to go. And with two players, it's difficult to get goal scoring opportunities. And that was one of the reasons why we played the system with four guys in the midfield, but these guys were a little bit higher. So when we won
I know, it was explaining why the 5-3-2 wouldn't have worked against a Bayern Munich there, because you wouldn't have the goal scoring opportunities against Bayern Munich with the two up top. So again, he's adapting his formation, his tactics to suit the opposition.
The ball, we won the ball here. We had two players who were also not really controlled from the fullbacks, not really controlled from the center backs, not really controlled from the six, but we could play here, or if we played here, we could play like diagonals and start the transition from here. And when we then got turned here, we had two guys who were able to go deep, not just one guy. So the spaces or the positioning after we win the ball was better in causing Bayern problems. And we had one extra player. We had three players in the transition. And that was like our mindset to be able to create goal scoring opportunities. We had to have three players, and the kind of players had to have tempo. They had to have a speed, because the distance, of course, from here to the goal is pretty far.
So straight away, again, players with tempo, speed. I think we've got that in Okafor. We've got that in Dan James. Willy Gnonto as well. Okay, that's Brendan Aronson. If you want to put him in there, Nemecha, I think in behind he's got the speed. He's faster than DCL. So straight away you've got the three forward players there. We've got that in the team. Not sure how Pirot. I mean, he's not slow in Pirot. He's not slow, and it's not what I know a few people have said he's lazy and this like that. He isn't. If you actually watch him, he's not. He could possibly also maybe fit into this, but ideally for me would be Nemecha, James, and Okafor.
If you have slow players, they will be, especially from this guy, Davis, who's like the fastest player in the Bundesliga, they will not be able to get there in the end. So we had success with this tactic. It's the same pattern all the time. It's not the direct ball to the striker. It's more finding the guy in the half space, and then you have two guys who can go in behind the defense and not really being controlled because they're in between the positioning of Bayern. So we had...
Interesting, it's not going straight to the striker, and that's because he hasn't got anyone in and around him there at that moment to give the ball to. So it goes to the players who are dropping slightly deeper, and that's where the transition can start. Brilliant.
Robin Quaison and Jonathan Burkhardt here in the half position, they're actually strikers, but they can also play this half position. Both players have also been playing early in their career, have played in the 4-2-3-1, where they played on the outside. So it's not new for them to be in these positions. I think the best position is still here in the front, but the qualities also to play this position, having a good understanding of when to get in behind the defense, and everybody had, like I said before, they had tempo. But both of these players, if you play them, they were able to turn and then directly go into attacking mode. So good players on the board for this kind of tactic that we had. You never know if it works out, especially because we hadn't played this kind of formation the whole season. But on the board, it made sense, and especially in the first half, could also see that.
That's ballsy. You know, that he'd not used this system all season, but yet he's seen Bayern Munich, he's seen their system, their formation, the dangers that they bring, and he's adapted his formation, he's adapted his style to suit the game and to suit the opponents. It's what we all want. It's what I want anyway. That's a manager thinking outside the box. You know, he's tried something different. The odds were against him there. Obviously, against Bayern Munich, you think, right, okay. He's thought of a game plan, he's thought of a formation, thinking outside the box, and it paid off.
That was key for us to not just only be in defending mode, but also able to cause Bayern some problems. It's always interesting when you play a back five to see what the opponents are doing, especially if they play back four. When you play the ball outside, does the winger take this guy, or is the fullback coming? So if the fullback's coming and you're playing with three guys inside, that means you have to go into every space here, and here. If you do that, then you have to move, and we have a back five, so we also have this player. So actually of course it's in theory, but you're 5 against 4.
So the movement of the attacking players has then created the space for the fullback, which would be Bogle for us. Clever. You've got to be clever. You know, these professional footballers, you've got to know these, make certain runs that create space. I mean, I'm not you know, inventing the wheel. It's obviously that's what you have to do, and that's what we need to do. You know, instead of being slow on the ball, especially when you're in transition and you're moving the ball fast, you've got to be aware. You've got to move into those spaces. You've got to drag people out of position, which creates more space, like he's just said there.
And sometimes if they don't switch fast enough, so if Pavard is going here and the distance between him and Boateng is not good, then you just play the ball into the next space. And it's the same thing. If they don't move fast enough, it's the next space. So it's always the next space. And if you play the ball here and it gets flicked on, and it's the next space. The last consequence is of course, if they cover completely inside, at some point you will also be able to have the guy on the other side free. So it was like also on this goal, it was early crosses to make this happen, to get this guy out, and that means when he has the ball, he should have a distance where he should make him come out along, not being too high, because then he's going to be close, but have like this position, make him come out, and then the next spaces are gonna open up, and then have the early cross.
Positioning of your wingers there, I love that. So it's full back there. Don't push too high. Sit a bit deeper. Pulls the opposition towards him, creating the space in behind. Seems simple, doesn't it?
And that's also what creates the goal. You see, actually they're in the positioning, but the ball is being flicked on, and then Burkhardt has the ball here, makes a turn against Davis, and then I think maybe Neuer got the sun in his eyes on the shot, because the shot wasn't that great, but it still went in. But it was after, I mean, it went like planned. If you see the pictures from over the pitch, then you see that Danny Da Costa is also quite free here, so he could have passed it even to this guy. So that was certainly also one of the plans, trying to stretch their back four against our 5 players with.
Can you see how compact the the front three are there, a lot closer to the central striker there, and then you've just got acres of space down that side, haven't we? I love it. I love that.
Our wing backs. It was important for us that we could have some situations that we could maybe create an advantage for us in the game. We knew that we're going to spend a lot of time defending, being against the ball. But against Bayern, like I said before, with the transition, it's important that you also give them some assignments. And in the other direction, if you're just going to be in defending mode, sometimes at some point you're going to collapse. It's not going to be able to hold up for 90 minutes. So it was important for us to create these situations, throw-ins, goal kicks, where we had a plan where we could see that maybe we could have an advantage. And when I talk about our own goal kicks, normally we would play with a back three. We're like this when we played with a goal kick, but we thought being Bayern in the 4-2-3-1, we should pull in the center backs a little bit closer, like flat with the full backs, and then take our central defender here, because they play 4-2-3-1. So Müller would have to be against two sixes, and we could create an advantage against these three guys with four players against three, and two number sixes against Thomas Müller. And then it was for us all of the time. It's difficult for the players always to see that, because in the game it's so fluent. But when to pass the ball, when to play a long ball, and when to see the short ball. So if you pass the ball here, and Thomas Müller doesn't make it to get out to this player, and Goretzka comes out here, that means if he has the ball here and Pavard is here, it means they are 3 against 3 on the last line. So as soon as he comes, we know, because the fullbacks would go to our fullback, it's going to be 3 against 3. Then it's a signal for us to play long. If we see that Thomas Müller is chasing here, Lewandowski is here, and it's here. If you see that Thomas Müller is coming here, we need to play again here. We need to create a 3 against 2, 3 against 1. It's not the signal for trying to play long. Sometimes also this happened, we played out.
Loving this. So, yeah, depending on what the opposition do and what the player and where the player moves, it depends on where, obviously, we play the ball, and whether we go long, whether we play it out wide. Depends on how the opposition press you. But looking at that, obviously, is fine. Is wanting the team to play into where the spaces are, into where the overloads are. So you've got 2-on-1s, and that'll happen in games. Depending on, again, how and where the opponents move and what the players do and where they're standing. But it's having our players identify and noticing that straight away. And if they have to go along, they have to go along. But the idea with that is you're pulling out a midfielder or a defender, which then creates that 3-on-3 at the other end where we can go along.
Side, Coman came here, Thomas Müller was here, and then it's still a 3 against 2. We can still play here, and then we get Davis out, and it's the same thing. We can create a 3 against 3 on the last line, and that's a signal for playing the ball long. So we actually in the first half had a couple of good situations, not creating goal scoring opportunities, but getting the ball constructively from our half to a throw in, to like a free kick, moving the ball, and thereby causing Bayern a couple of problems. So the second goal came from a set piece, when we knew where you play against a better side that you need to be really good, and it's an opportunity where you can easily create a goal scoring chance. So it's actually quite funny. On the first goal, Philipp Mene crosses it with his left foot, and
then again, we've got 3 at the back. We've got 3 tall centre defenders who can get up there for set pieces. again, I think we've got the squad for that, which we're not. We need to capitalise on it a little bit more. I mean, we've scored from corners, this season already. We've seen it with Rodon.
Second goal, he made the cross with his right foot. It's also one of the advantages of him playing there. I can't remember if he made an assist on the free kick more than this goal. If you see how the cross is, you think it was not his only assist in this season, but I think it was. But it was when we have this kind of situations, we have different assignments for the guys who's inside. The assignments for Mina is to bring the ball in the area with a lot of tempo, and just in the space where it's difficult for the goalkeeper to get out. So we had one player, I think it was Moussa Niakate, who's like standing on the brink of the offside and trying to block the first player or the second player here. So and we have a guy coming in behind, trying, if the ball goes over the top, being able to head it back into back in front of the goal again. So and this goal, things just work out. We get Niakate blocking this player, and it opens up for the kind of late run that Robin Quaison makes into the box, and you see that the ball comes right in the zone where Manuel Neuer can't come out, because the ball is just played in too hard, and it's not close enough for him to come out. So the second half was a long struggle. Bayern made three changes to their side at halftime, bringing on Choupo-Moting for Coman on the left side, bring on Musiala for Sané on the right side, and then bring in Nianzou in the as a center back, and pushing up David Alaba in midfield for Leon Goretzka. So it didn't change how we play. We had to make one substitution because of injury. Jonathan Boga, Levin Öztunali came into the game. Not the same kind of player, perhaps a little more defensive minded than Burkhardt, but I think he could play this position, no doubt. What didn't work for us in the second half was that we never were able to create any chances. We were just in defending mode. I think we did it well, had to defend a lot of crosses, but it wasn't like we had the feeling that we were just it was just a matter of time before Bayern scored the goal. Because bringing in Choupo-Moting changes the game. It's not like the same time like Coman, like a 1-against-1 player. I know he played that earlier in his career because I played with him at that time, but he's not got the same tempo more, but he's still a very good player. But it's, of course, a big player who can come into like a second kind of striker when they're coming into these crossing positions. So we had to be really aware of that. But that was actually the only thing that we saw them change. I mean, Musiala nowadays he plays more like just a 10, but it's back then he was also more of a winger type who could go into these 1-against-1. But bringing Choupo-Moting meant for.
And that's it. You're playing against good teams like that, like Bayern Munich, who've got good players on the bench and they can change the game. You've got to stay aware. You've got to stay constant. You've got to concentrate a lot. In games like that, you are going to have to defend, and he's setting up his team to try and nullify that.
For us, that when the ball was on the right side, it was not like Coman and Sané. He would stay wide. He would get in here. Also, when they played it to Kimmich, like I told before, these crosses from the half spaces, we have to be aware, getting in close to Choupo-Moting on the crosses. But it was a very long second half. I don't know how much possession we had. Not a lot, and I think passes in the opponent's half was not that many. So still, we were able to defend it, keeping to our principles against the ball. When does the 6 come out? When does the outside players come out? And then we were able to defend it, looking a lot at the clock the whole second half.
And that's where we go wrong. In games you are going to get that where you are under the cosh, but we try and do the same thing over and over again, and it don't work. We don't change as formation. We don't change his philosophy in how we want to play. And against the good teams, you're going to get found out. So it is about, you know, adapting to the game. It is about sometimes you're going to have to sit deep and defend. It's not all about having the ball. And there he's got his team set up, disciplined, and knowing what they're doing in those times where you are under pressure. There's a little bit, and
unfortunately, I think Bayern was 50 games ago that they went without scoring a goal. So it was a bit unfortunate that it happened at the end. It didn't have any importance for the game. It ended up 2-1 instead of 2-0. I think it was a long ball where just our center back tried to head it and it just went too short. But in all, it was a very important win for us. I think the way that we did it made me learn more about our team. And if you see how we play today, we use the system much more than back then. And one of the reasons is this game, just seeing the kind of advantages that gives us when we defend, but also in our transition and also with the ball against certain opponents. We learned a lot about ourselves in this game, and that's why even though it's 2.5 years ago, it's a kind of a key game for how we play.
So straight away there is used something he'd never really used before. He identified the issues and the opponent. You know, the strengths of the opponent, and he used something different, and it worked. And now he uses it a lot more. You know, it's about evolving. You know, you're evolving as a team. You're evolving. You got to try different things, and if you don't try them, you're never going to know. And this is what we want as Leeds fans. You know, we have a squad that can change shape, change style. In certain periods of a game, we can do it. You know, set up differently against different teams, and that's what we're wanting from our manager, and that's what we're not seeing from Daniel Farke. So for me, Bo Svensson would be great for the club, and for me, I would really like him in through the door, if or when Daniel Farke does get the sack. So I hope you like that. A little bit of insight into Bo Svensson. And I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.